Hi, welcome to Chris and Laura. I'm Laura. Today we are going to make some thank you cookies. These thank you cookies are going to go to Chris's dad, Bob. He did a pretty big favor for us while we were in Nebraska. We had an issue and he just jumped right into his truck and came up here without ever being here before and took care of it with no issues. So we are very grateful that he was able to do that for us. So we're going to see him this week. So we're going to make him some thank you chocolate chip cookies. So let's get started. Alright, so first off, we've got all of our ingredients out here. I measured out 2 3/4 cups all-purpose flour. I've got that here in the bowl. So to that flour, we are going to add 2 teaspoons of cornstarch. Then we've got 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Alright, so the recipe says 3/4 teaspoon of salt, but I'm going to use a teaspoon of salt because the salt with the chocolate and the mixed nuts and everything, it's fantastic together. I don't have any chopped nuts right now, but if I did, it'd be even better. But even with the extra salt with just the chocolate chips is really good. So I'm doing a teaspoon. We're going to mix all of this into the flour really good. Alright. So now that we've got this all mixed up really well, we're going to set it off to the side. We've got a medium-sized bowl. Into that, we are going to add, we've got 2 sticks of melted and cooled butter here. You want it to cool at least 10 minutes. So this is nice and cool. We're going to put that into this medium-sized bowl here. So it's 1 cup of butter, 1 cup of melted and cooled butter. We're going to add 1/2 cup of granulated sugar, 1 1/4 cups packed brown sugar. We are going to mix all of these together really well. I do have to say these are probably some of the best chocolate chip cookies we've ever had. I've been making them this way for quite a few years now. And they are just fantastic. They are hard to keep in stock. And like I said, they're really good with some chopped walnuts in there, but I don't have any this time, so it's just going to be the chocolate chips, and they're going to be just as good. And you can use a mixer. You don't have to do this by hand. I always do it by hand, but it's whatever you want to use. It's a pretty soft dough. We actually are going to have to refrigerate it for about ½ an hour after we get done. Alright, so we've got the sugar and the butter mixed together pretty well here. So we're going to add, we've got 1 large egg and 1 large egg yolk. So it's 1 egg and 1 yolk, and at room temperature. So we're going to add those in there. And this is why you want your butter to be cooled down. You don't want to scramble your eggs into your cookie dough. Mix that together really good. And we're going to add, finger was caught in the whisk. We're going to add, I'm going to do about 2 teaspoons. Woof! We're going to do about 2 1/2 teaspoons of vanilla. It's alright, vanilla's good. I'm going to wash my hand off. Alright, we're going to mix this all together really well. Alright, so we've got our butter, our brown sugar, our eggs, our vanilla. So we are going to add our flour. Use the spatula, make sure we got everything all mixed up good. Now we're going to stir in the flour a little bit at a time. You don't want to dump the whole thing in there. That would be a total disaster trying to stir it. So we're just going to do just a little at a time. And then stir it all together until you don't see any more flour. Then you'll add the rest of it. So while we were in Nebraska, you know, we have cameras up here. We had noticed that our front, it was like 8:30 at night in Nebraska, so that would have been 7:30 at night here. Chris pulled up the camera and he noticed that the front door to our camper was open, just flapping away right in the wind, and we were like, oh my gosh, our worst fear came true. Somebody broke in, or an animal broke in and just destroyed everything. And he got to zooming in on the camera, and he could see that our TV was still here. So we were like, okay, well, we don't believe that somebody was trying to break in or broke in. We believe that the camper may have settled, and at that time there was some really strong winds going on here. So we think that the door just might have got popped open. And we forgot to put the handrail in front of the door when we left. So it allowed it to come open all the way. Anyways, it was like 9:30 at night, and Bob loaded up into his pickup. Never been here before, 3.5 hours away. Loaded up into his pickup, and he drove all the way up here. Got up here about 2 o'clock in the morning. For the first time ever, he'd never been, he doesn't live in the mountains, he lives in the desert part. So he's never been up this direction before. So it was a pretty big ask. But thankfully nothing was disturbed. That's what it was. It just, the door got popped open. So he got a couple hours of sleep and checked the place out, walked around, realized how high our elevation was, and then took off back towards home. But we were 14 hours away, so there was nothing we could do about it, and we don't know very many people around this area yet. So that was a true blessing that he was able to do that for us. So I'm making him the good cookies. You definitely get a workout doing this by hand. If I had my electric stand mixer again, that would be amazing. Evidently you get what you pay for on those. Someday. I always tell the guys that if they want chocolate chip cookies, one of them has to stir it for me. But nobody's around right now, so it's me. Alright, so we've got that all mixed in good. You can't see any flour down in there anymore. It's all wet. So now we are going to stir in 1 3/4 cups chocolate chips. I have semi-sweet chocolate, whatever you want to use. So we're going to dump that in. This is when you would put the chopped nuts in there if you had some of those. And we gotta stir it some more. Now, if you can see how soft that is? It's just super soft. So it needs to be chilled before you can try to form it into a ball to bake it. So we are going to get all the goodies off of the spoon. We waste none. We're going to cover this and put it in the refrigerator. For at least 30 minutes. This, you could chill it overnight too if you wanted to. There is no issue with that. Alright, so we're going to put it in the fridge for 30 minutes. And we will be back when we're ready to put it on the baking sheets. Alright, so we've got the cookie dough out of the refrigerator. So we're going to get it going onto our cookie sheets here. So it's nice and chilled. It's been in there, well, it ended up being almost an hour. But I've just got a teaspoon. We're going to take some big rounded teaspoons. Make sure your hands are clean. You're going to just kind of form it into a ball. Put it on your cookie sheet. Try to make them as even as possible. About the same size anyways. And I can guarantee you that Bob will not be getting all of these. I was telling them about how your dad came up here and helped us out, so we're making him some thank you cookies.
Oh yeah. Cookies ain't enough.
No.
That'll make him happy.
So, the trick to baking these cookies, the proper way to where they are soft and don't really get hard, like cookies often do. The trick to doing that is you bake these at 350 degrees for 11 minutes, and then you take them out of the oven. And then you let them cool down on the baking sheet for a few minutes, and then you take them off and you put them on your wire rack to cool. It all depends on your oven. If it looks like the center of the cookie is still raw, go for another minute, maybe two, depending on what it really looks like. Because you don't want to underbake them too much, because then they just kind of fall apart, and you don't want that. So try to shoot for 11 minutes. Sometimes you might have to do 12. But you gotta let them cool on the baking sheet when they come out for a few minutes, and then put them on the wire rack. So that's how it goes. We're gonna get to it. Alright, so we're gonna put the cookies in the oven. Got it preheated. We also have a roast in the crock pot. And that smells delicious, and now we're about to have chocolate chip cookies smell in here, and it's going to be good. So we're going to let these go for 11 minutes. Might be a little bit longer. We'll be back when they're done. Show you how they look. We got a golden brown to the bottoms. I haven't made very many cookies in this oven, so hopefully they don't burn. Alright, here's our second round of cookies getting ready to go in. We still have enough for probably one more pan. Alright, we got the last of the cookies here. I'm going to take them out. All poofy. Let them sit for a few minutes. See if you can see they just stay, you know, they're not the thickest, they're not like a big old thick cake cookie. They're just buttery, chocolatey deliciousness. But they're super good. But I hope you enjoyed watching, and I'll go ahead and put the recipe for this down below. And we'll see you later.